Well, there was more racist hate graffiti in Calgary this weekend, again attacking Syrian refugees, and this time defacing a junior high school in the city's southeast. The CBC's Kate Adak was in that area today, and she joins us now. So, Kate, what was written on the school?
Well, you won't see anything there now. The Calgary Board of Education was quick about cleaning it up this morning, but there were multiple hateful slogans. A bunch of different messages, including one saying, "Syrians, go home and die." That was sprayed in black spray paint on the walls, and another took a swipe at the Prime Minister. Now, Prime Minister Trudeau got on social media quickly today to respond as well, tweeting, quote, "Canadians have shown the best of our country in welcoming refugees. That spirit won't be diminished by fear and hate." It's similar, though, to what we saw at the Tuscany station 2 months ago. There, if you remember, vandals spray painted against cars, on trains, hateful messages against Syrians and Muslims. Now, in that case, police have since arrested 2 men in connection with the crime, and that'll be back in court again tomorrow. But this type of hate goes counter to much of the support we've seen in the city. There's a group that keeps growing, the Calgary Syrian Refugees Support Group. Right now, there are more than 2,000 people who've joined online, and hundreds regularly volunteer, offering to help with things like food, furniture, drives to hospital. I spoke to one of the group's members today, and she says that this, because it was spray painted on a school, makes her worry that perhaps there's a need for more education for students.
To tell them that those refugees are coming here, they're not taking anything out of your way. They fled country of conflict and war and just horror. You know, to come here to this country, they're coming here to find peace, and they're coming here to live as Canadian and to contribute to this country.
So, Kate, what was the school board saying in this case?
Well, it's the long weekend, so they weren't available for interviews, but they say they're working with police, and they call this very disappointing.
Okay, thanks very much, Kate Adak, live from our newsroom tonight. Well, what impact do these kinds of hateful incidents have on our community? Iman Bokhari is the CEO of the Canadian Cultural Mosaic Foundation, and she joins me in studio tonight. Good evening, thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.
So, Iman, what was your reaction when you heard about this graffiti today?
I was, of course, upset. You know, Canada is one of the best and most successful multicultural countries in this world, but that does not mean that we can't improve. And my thought was that this is very sad, and this is constantly happening. We hear about these hate crimes, and we need to improve.
So here's what our chatter was. Everyone sort of gets defensive and says, but this isn't Calgary, this isn't like Canada, and yet these things keep happening. What does that say about our city?
I think that says that we're very fragile. I mean, we have these problems. We hear about everyday racism all the time. In our organization, we hear people constantly telling us they get racist incidents happening in workplaces, in schools, in public spaces, and that means we do need to work on it.
And it's not just Syrians who are being targeted. What other complaints have you been hearing from community members?
We've been hearing from all types of different communities. We've been hearing from Indigenous people, from Muslim people, from Black people, from all types of different ethnic backgrounds.
Can you give us an example of anything recent?
Yes. Actually, in fact, today there was a man who wanted a puppy, and he was talking to this company that sells puppies, and it's a Canadian Calgary local company, and they were exchanging emails back and forth, and the company had eventually said that, you know what, you come from this background and you guys abuse puppies, and this conversation was based solely on his name.
Obviously, these kinds of attitudes persist. What do we need to be doing? What more do we need to be doing?
First off, I think media definitely needs to be reporting on these stories because they are happening, and we need to let everyone know. Second, we need to educate people on the diversity of people. We also need people who have racist experiences, incidents, and hate crimes to report them, because without the stats, the government, the police system can't do anything about it. And lastly, I think ethnic communities need to also let everybody else reach out to the community, invite them into the community, and we do that pretty well. We have Latino Fest, we have Pakistani Festival, we have all types of festivals.
Just briefly, do you see any signs of hope among the youth, younger kids?
Absolutely. Actually, we just had an anti-racism film festival, and we had elementary school kids participating. It was great.
Okay, so a little sign of hope, even when we see this kind of graffiti happening on our schools. Thank you so much for coming in today. We appreciate your insight.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks. Coming up, a sister search on social media.